could hear everything, every single word. My husband Jamal stood at the foot of my hospital bed, his phone pressed to his ear, and I heard him say, "Don't worry, baby. Once she's gone, we'll have the funeral at that small chapel quick and cheap. Then we can finally be together." My heart monitor should have exploded, but my body lay frozen, trapped in what the doctors called a coma. But I wasn't gone. I was right there, screaming silently behind closed eyes. Before we continue with this shocking story, hit that subscribe button right now. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from and what time it is for you. I want to know who's riding this crazy journey with me. Now let's get back to the story. My name is Amara Johnson-Kim, and 3 weeks ago, I was a thriving 32-year-old patent attorney in Seoul, South Korea. I'd moved here from Atlanta 6 years ago for work and fell head over heels for Jamal Kim, a half-Korean, half-African-American music producer with a smile that could light up Gangnam. We got married after a whirlwind romance, and I thought I'd found my forever. His Korean mother, Mrs. Kim, never quite warmed up to me, the black American woman who took her precious son. But I tried. God, how I tried. The accident happened on a rainy Tuesday. I was driving home from a client meeting when a delivery truck ran a red light. My Mercedes crumpled like paper. They told Jamal I had a traumatic brain injury that I might never wake up. But here's what nobody knew. I could hear everything. Every conversation, every whisper, every betrayal. It started the second day. I heard a woman's voice I didn't recognize, high-pitched, giggly, speaking Korean with a Busan accent. "Opa, how much longer do we have to pretend?" she whined. That's when I heard Jamal's response, clear as crystal. "Not long, Soojin. The doctors say she might not make it through the week. Then we can finally be together just like we planned." My mind reeled. Soojin? Who the hell was Soojin? And what did he mean like we planned? The heart monitor beeped steadily, betraying nothing of the storm raging inside me. Over the next few days, I pieced together my nightmare. Soojin was his assistant, the pretty 25-year-old I'd met twice at company dinners, who I'd stupidly thought was harmless. They'd been having an affair for over a year, but it got worse, so much worse. "I can't believe your plan actually worked," Soojin said on day 5, her voice dripping with admiration. "Tampering with her brake line was genius. Everyone thinks it's just a random accident." I would have vomited if I could. My husband, the man I'd pledged my life to, had tried to murder me. And he'd succeeded in putting me here, trapped in my own body, while he planned my funeral with his mistress. "Mom's already picked out the cheapest casket," Jamal laughed. "She's so happy Amara's finally going away. She never wanted us together anyway. She's helping us liquidate everything, the apartment, Amara's investments, everything. Once the death certificate is signed, we split it all and start fresh." Mrs. Kim was in on it too. The woman I'd called Uma, who I'd tried so hard to bond with, was helping plan my murder's aftermath like it was a business transaction. But then, on day 7, something changed. I heard a new voice, firm, older, with a distinctly Nigerian accent that made my trapped heart soar with unexpected hope. "Mr. Kim, I need to speak with you about your wife's care plan." "What about it, nurse?" Jamal's voice was irritated. "Nurse Adaeze Okonkwo, I've been reviewing Mrs. Kim's charts, and some things aren't adding up. Her brain activity is significantly higher than what's typical for her diagnosis. And I've noticed you've been requesting we reduce her monitoring equipment. May I ask why?" "I just don't want her to suffer," Jamal said smoothly. "If she's not going to wake up, what's the point of prolonging things?" "Interesting," Nurse Adaeze replied, her tone sharp as a scalpel. "Because according to her advance directive, which I've thoroughly reviewed, she explicitly wanted all life-saving measures taken. Yet you've been asking us to do the opposite, almost as if you want her to die faster." The silence that followed was deafening. "I don't appreciate your tone," Jamal snapped. "I'm her husband. I make the decisions now." "Actually," Nurse Adaeze said calmly, "you share medical power of attorney with her sister in Atlanta. Funny thing, I called Shanice this morning. She had no idea you'd been making these requests. In fact, she's on a plane right now, very eager to have a conversation with you." "Oh my God, Shanice, My fierce, no-nonsense younger sister who practiced criminal law and took exactly zero shit from anyone. If anyone could save me, it was her. Jamal's voice turned cold. You had no right to contact her family without my permission. I had every right as her patient advocate. And Mr. Kim, I've been a nurse for 23 years, I've seen everything. And you know what I see when I look at you? A man who wants his wife dead. So I'll be watching, very, very closely. Her footsteps echoed away, leaving Jamal alone in my room. I felt him lean close to my ear. Damn nurse is going to ruin everything, he whispered. But don't worry, Amara. One way or another this ends soon. Sleep tight. Terror flooded through me. He was going to try to kill me again. I knew it. And I was completely helpless to stop him. That night, Nurse Adaeze came back during her shift. I heard her pull up a chair close to my bed. Amara, she whispered in Igbo, then English. If you can hear me, I believe you're in there. I've seen cases like yours before. My own brother was in a coma for 4 months, and he heard everything. When he woke up, he told us all about it. She paused, and I felt her take my hand. I don't know what's happening in your marriage, but something is very wrong. Your vitals spike every time that man and his girlfriend visit. Yes, I know about her too, sneaking in after hours, kissing him in the hallway. I'm going to protect you, sister. I promise you that. Tears I couldn't shed burned behind my eyes. This stranger, this beautiful Nigerian angel, was the only thing standing between me and my murderer. The next morning, Shanice arrived like a hurricane. Where the hell is my sister's husband? She demanded at the nurse's station, her Atlanta accent cutting through the Seoul hospital like a blade. I heard Jamal's footsteps approaching. Shanice, I didn't expect you. Of course you didn't, you lying bastard. Why the hell have you been trying to pull the plug on my sister without telling her family? That's not what. Shut UP. I've already gotten the full story from Nurse Okonkwo. I'm assuming power of attorney immediately, and I'm having every decision you've made regarding Amara's care reviewed by independent doctors. And if I find out you've done anything, to hurt her, I will destroy you. Legally, financially, and personally. You can't do this, Jamal stammered. I'm her husband. We're married under Korean law. And she's an American citizen with American family who actually gives a damn about her living, Shanice shot back. I've already contacted the U.S. Embassy. Try me, Jamal. Please, try me. I'd never loved my sister more than in that moment. Over the next 3 days, I heard Shanice completely take over my care. She hired private security to stand outside my room 24/7. She brought in specialist after specialist. And she started digging into my accident with the tenacity of the prosecutor she was trained to be. But Jamal wasn't done. On day 12, I heard him and Sujin whispering in the hallway during a shift change. We need to act fast, Sujin hissed. That sister is going to ruin everything, and your mother says the police are asking questions about the car accident. I know someone, Jamal said quietly. A guy who can make it look like complications, natural causes, but it has to be tonight before Shanice gets back from the embassy. My silent scream echoed in my mind. He was going to do it. Tonight. Hours crawled by like centuries. I heard the evening nurse complete her rounds. The hospital quieted to its nighttime rhythm. Then, around 2 a.m., I heard my door open with a soft click. Footsteps, not Jamal's, heavier, unfamiliar. I felt a presence next to my IV line, heard the rustle of something being prepared. This was it. I was about to die, and I couldn't even open my eyes to see my killer's face. Then chaos. Step away from the patient. Nurse Adaeze's voice boomed through the room. Lights blazed on. Security, code black, room 304. I'm just checking her vitals, the man said in Korean. You're not hospital staff, Adaeze snapped. I know every person on this floor who sent you. The sound of running footsteps, shouting, a scuffle, and then Shanice's voice, breathless. Got him. The security camera caught everything. He was about to inject something into her IV. Police sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer. Nurse Adaeze's voice, shaking with rage. That injection, it's potassium chloride, enough to stop her heart instantly. Someone called Detective Park. Now. Within an hour, my hospital room became a crime scene. I heard Detective Park interrogating the would-be killer, who broke down within minutes. Jamal Kim paid me $5 million. He gave me the access code to the service entrance and told me exactly when the shift change happened. He said his wife was suffering and wanted to help her pass peacefully. I didn't know it was murder, I swear. Tell it to the judge, Detective Park said coldly. Officers, bring in Kim Jamal and Park Soo-jin for questioning. And someone get Mrs. Kim Sr. I have questions about her involvement in insurance fraud. The scandal exploded. By morning, I heard nurses whispering about how police found evidence of the brake line tampering in Jamal's home garage. How Soo-jin's apartment contained a burner phone with text messages plotting my death. How Mrs. Kim had already been to the insurance company twice, trying to claim my life insurance policy, worth $500 million. Shanice sat by my bed, holding my hand. Amara, if you can hear me, you won't believe this. The prosecutors are building a case for attempted murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and insurance fraud. Jamal, his mother, and Soo-jin are all in custody. That nurse, Adaeze, she saved your life, sis. She suspected something from day one and had been documenting everything. But I still couldn't wake up. Days passed. The medical team worked tirelessly, adjusting medications, running tests. Shanice never left my side. Nurse Adaeze advocated for every cutting-edge treatment available. Then, on day 23, during a conversation between Shanice and Adaeze about physical therapy options, something shifted. I felt a tingling in my fingers, a flutter in my eyelids. Oh my God, Shanice gasped. Did her hand just move? Amara, Nurse Adaeze leaned close. Can you hear us? Squeeze my hand if you can hear me. I focused every ounce of will I had into my right hand, and I squeezed. The room erupted. Doctors rushed in. Over the next 6 hours, I fought my way back to consciousness like climbing out of a deep well. When I finally opened my eyes, Shanice was sobbing, and Nurse Adaeze wore the biggest smile I'd ever seen. Welcome back, sister, Adaeze said softly in Igbo, then English. You're safe now, we've got you. My voice was a raspy whisper. I heard everything. Shanice's eyes went wide. Everything, you mean? Every word, the affair, the murder plan, the funeral arrangements, all of it. The prosecutors were ecstatic. My testimony, combined with the physical evidence and the attempted hospital murder, built an ironclad case. South Korea's legal system moved swiftly. The trial was a media sensation. The African-American lawyer, the Korean-American husband, the lover, the scheming mother-in-law. It had everything. I took the stand 3 months after waking up, still in physical therapy but determined to see justice served. Mr. Kim told his mistress, and I quote, tampering with her brake line was genius. I testified, my voice steady. I heard him say this while I lay in a coma, unable to move or speak, listening to the man I loved plan my funeral with the woman he was cheating with. The courtroom was silent except for the sound of Jamal's mother weeping. Not for me, for her son. Jamal's lawyer tried to argue I'd misheard, that coma patients can't form reliable memories. Then the prosecution played the security footage of the hired killer entering my room, cross-referenced with phone records showing 17 calls between Jamal and the killer in the week before the attempt. They presented the brake line from my Mercedes, professionally examined, showing clear evidence of tampering. They showed the text messages where Soo-jin and Jamal discussed splitting my assets. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. Jamal received 18 years for attempted murder and conspiracy. Soo-jin got 12 years as an accessory. Mrs. Kim, who'd helped liquidate my assets and claim insurance fraudulently, received 5 years and was ordered to pay full restitution. But the real karma came in smaller, more poetic ways. Jamal's music production company collapsed within weeks of his arrest. Turns out nobody wants to work with a man who tried to murder his wife. The fancy Gangnam apartment we'd shared, sold to pay my medical bills and legal fees, with the remainder going to me in the divorce settlement. Soo-jin's family disowned her completely. In conservative Korean society, being the mistress in an attempted murder case made her unemployable and unmarriageable. Last I heard, she was working at a convenience store in a small town, unrecognizable behind dyed hair and cheap plastic surgery gone wrong. Mrs. Kim lost her standing in her church and social circles. The woman who'd spent years judging me for not being Korean enough became the pariah, the mother who raised a murderer. As for me, my recovery was long and painful, but I had Shanice by my side every step. And I had Nurse Adaeze Okonkwo, who became one of my closest friends. She told me later that she'd suspected Jamal from day 2, when he asked about reducing my pain medication to help her pass peacefully. A red flag for any experienced nurse. In my culture, Adaeze told me over Korean-Nigerian fusion dinner one evening, we believe that ancestors protect their own. Your ancestors kept you aware in that coma, Amara. They made sure you heard everything so justice could be served. Maybe she was right. Maybe my grandmother, who'd passed 2 years before, had been watching over me. Or maybe I was just lucky that one Nigerian nurse decided to trust her instincts and fight for a patient she didn't even know. I eventually moved back to Atlanta, where I now run a nonprofit helping domestic violence survivors navigate legal systems. I also advocate for better protections for coma patients and mandatory ethics, training for medical staff on recognizing potential abuse. Shanice and I are closer than ever. She jokes that she always knew Jamal was trash but didn't want to say, "I told you so." I give her permission to say it as often as she wants. Sometimes I think about those 23 days in the coma, the helplessness, the terror, the absolute vulnerability. But then I remember Nurse Adaeze's voice promising to protect me, Shanice's fury defending me, the police who believed my story, the jury who delivered justice. Jamal wanted me dead and forgotten, buried in a cheap casket while he spent my money with his mistress. Instead, he's in prison, penniless and infamous. I'm alive, thriving, and using my story to help others. Last week, I received a letter from him, a pathetic attempt at apology, claiming he'd lost his way and never meant for things to go so far. I read it once, laughed, and shredded it. Because here's the truth about karma. Sometimes it's not cosmic or mystical. Sometimes karma is a Nigerian nurse who trusts her instincts, a sister who refuses to accept lies, and a woman who survives long enough to tell her own story. Jamal planned my burial, but I rose from that hospital bed and buried him instead, legally, financially, and permanently. And I've never slept better.